Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the place where we take all that information you're curious about, really sift through it, and pull out the key insights. Basically, giving you a faster way to get properly informed.
That's the goal.
And today, the learner. We're diving into something I know you're focused on: success, personal growth, how it all works. You shared some material from John Maxwell's book, Today Matters.
A really interesting read.
Yeah, so our mission, it's pretty clear. Let's dig into Maxwell's whole perspective on how focusing on today, like right now, is the real key to unlocking that long-term success you're aiming for. We'll start by cutting through some common myths about success, and then we'll really get into the nitty-gritty of why those daily practices are so critical.
Exactly, because success often feels like this, huge thing way off in the distance, overwhelming sometimes.
Totally.
And what Maxwell does, which I think is so effective, is he shifts that focus right back to today, what's right in front of us.
Brings it down to earth?
Yeah, it challenges how we normally think about getting ahead and gives us practical ways to, start making changes right now.
Okay, let's jump right in then. One of the first things Maxwell really tackles is this myth that success is, basically just luck. Right place, right time kind of deal.
Yeah? We all love those stories, don't we?
Well, yeah, the overnight sensation, the startup that just explodes. It makes you think, hey, maybe that could just happen to me.
Right.
But what's Maxwell's reality check on those odds?
Well, he puts it pretty bluntly. He compares it to winning the lottery. Something like 50 million to 1 odds.
Wow.
Okay, those overnight success stories, they get the headlines, but they're really, really rare. The exception, not the rule.
So for every one of those?
Exactly. For every one, there are countless others just grinding away, putting in years of work, often without ever getting that big sudden break.
He has that great quote too, doesn't he? Something about hopping versus hoping.
Yeah, when it comes to success, you're better off hopping to it than hoping for it.
I like that. It's a good reminder that while, dreaming of a lucky break is fine, the real path usually needs more. Well, more hopping, more action.
Definitely.
Okay, another idea he pushes back on is success just being about productivity, just working hard, churning things out.
And look, there is a good feeling that comes from hard work, right? Seeing results.
Yeah.
Maxwell even mentions this funny sign, the 57 rules of success. #1 deliver the goods. #2 the other 56 don't matter.
Yeah.
And he quotes Theodore Roosevelt too, far and away the best prize that life offers is the chance to work hard at work worth doing. That value of effort is real.
But that's not the whole story for Maxwell, is it?
No, he's careful about that. He says productivity is important, it's definitely part of success, but it's not the definition of success.
Meaning
you could be super busy, like all day long ticking off tasks. But if those tasks aren't actually moving you towards what you really want, what truly matters to you,
then you're just spinning your wheels, basically.
Pretty much. It's about working smart, effectively, not just being busy for busy's sake.
That makes sense. Okay, then there's the third misconception. Success as this one big event. Like you go to a seminar, make a huge decision, learn one secret piece of info, and bam, success.
Right. And Maxwell, he spent years speaking at events, conferences. He's seen this up close.
So he knows the appeal.
He gets it. He acknowledges these events can be really good for sparking inspiration, giving you a boost, maybe some initial tools or knowledge.
Starting point.
Yeah, they can be the catalyst, definitely. The thing that gets you to make that big decision to change.
But it's just the catalyst, right? Not the whole reaction.
Exactly. That's the key. Real, lasting change. The kind that builds sustainable success. That's a process. It unfolds over time. It's not a one-shot deal.
So the event is maybe the spark.
But the real fire comes later. Maxwell emphasizes that the true value of those events or those big decisions comes after, when you consistently apply what you learned, using the books, the lessons, day in, day out.
So it's the follow-through.
It's all about the follow-through. Growth comes from making the decision, sure, but then actually consistently doing the work in your daily life.
Okay, so we've debunked some myths. It's not just luck, not just being busy, not just one big moment. Now let's get to the core. Maxwell's big idea, today matters. What's the central message he wants you, the learner, to really grab onto here?
The fundamental idea, and it sounds simple, but it's powerful, is that you build the success you want by focusing your energy, your effort on today.
Right now.
Right now, because as Maxwell points out, today's the only time we actually have. Yesterday's gone, tomorrow isn't here yet, maybe never comes.
So this moment is it.
This is it. That's why making the absolute most of today is just incredibly crucial.
And he talks about how easy it is to lose sight of that, right? Often by getting stuck in the past. He has that funny phrase, the older I am, the better I was syndrome.
Haha, yeah. That really nails this tendency some people have, looking back and exaggerating how great things could have been.
It's like high school quarterback who almost went pro.
Exactly. Or the business person whose career stalled, but they talk about how they were this close to some huge breakthrough back in the day. The past always looks a bit shinier sometimes.
It feels like maybe it's a way to avoid dealing with the present, focusing on some imagined past glory instead of taking action now.
I think that's a big part of it. Maxwell argues that putting your effort into today is actually preparing for the future. It's like putting money in the bank.
Or studying for a test.
Yeah. You're building the foundation, developing the skills you'll need down the road. Makes you more ready, more capable. He quotes Joe Namath, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah. What's the quote?
What I do is prepare myself until I know I can do what I have to do. It's all about that present day preparation.
And it connects to that other idea he brings in from John Cotter about people accepting their lives instead of leading them.
Right. Cotter's observation really hits this point home. If you just accept life as it comes, you're letting circumstances push you around.
You're passive.
Totally passive. But focusing on today, making conscious choices today that align with your goals, your values, that's how you take control. That's how you lead your own life instead of just drifting.
Being proactive.
Being proactive. Maxwell wraps that thought up with a quote from Disraeli. The secret of success in life is for a man to be ready for his time when it comes.
And you get ready by focusing on today.
That's the idea. Consistent preparation, day by day.
Okay, so the big question then is how? How do we actually make today matter? What are the practical things we can do to use this time well?
Yeah.
Maxwell brings in that concept from John Wooden, the coach.
Yes, the legendary Coach Wooden. Maxwell shares his challenge to his players. Make each day your masterpiece.
Wow, that's a high bar.
It is, but it's the key, really. It's about how you approach each day, striving for your best right here, right now.
But it doesn't mean every day has to be like earth-shattering, right? It sounds more about consistency.
Exactly. It's not about hitting a home run every single day. Maxwell says successful people figure out what's truly critical for them early on, and then they just manage those things consistently, daily.
Settling the big stuff first.
Yeah, get clear on the fundamentals. That gives you direction, lets you focus your daily effort where it counts.
And he connects making good decisions with having good discipline. How do those two work together for this masterpiece idea?
Well, making good decisions is crucial, right? That's the start. But Maxwell argues those decisions are pretty much useless without the discipline to follow through.
Makes sense.
He uses examples we can all relate to, like almost everyone wants to be healthier.
Sure.
But not everyone is willing to consistently eat right and exercise. Or people want financial security, but maybe aren't willing to do the hard work, the saving, day after day.
It's the difference between wanting and doing.
Precisely. He says successful people form the habit of doing the things unsuccessful people just don't like to do. It's about starting well, good decisions, and finishing strong discipline. He calls them the bookends of success.
He even tells that story about doing chores as a kid, right? To drive home the discipline point.
Yeah, his dad gave him a list every week. And the consequence if he didn't finish.
No swing with the family.
Right, a simple thing, but it taught him accountability, follow through. It shows how those small daily disciplines shape who we become, our ability to tackle bigger things.
And for you, the learner, listening in, wanting that knowledge quickly but also thoroughly, this link between daily discipline and actual sustained progress is huge.
It's absolutely key. No shortcuts, really.
Okay, let's talk attitude. We probably all know someone who's technically successful but seems kind of miserable. Maxwell digs into the role of attitude. Can you really have a masterpiece day without a good one, even if you get stuff done?
Maxwell admits, yeah, technically you can achieve things without a great attitude. He points to people like Clarence Darrow, the famous lawyer. Brilliant, successful, but apparently quite grim.
And Freud, too.
And Sigmund Freud, yeah. Groundbreaking thinker, hugely influential, but known for being pessimistic, seemingly unhappy. Maxwell even quotes him talking about life being mostly suffering, welcoming death.
Yikes.
But Maxwell's core point is, your attitude drastically affects how much you enjoy any success you achieve.
And critically, it's not fixed, right? Maxwell argues Freud kind of chose his unhappiness.
Exactly. That's central to Maxwell's view. Attitude is a choice. It's not just who you are. He gives a better example to a colleague who dreaded editing manuscript.
Casework.
Totally. But this person consciously reframed it, saw it as refining, improving, and suddenly the process was more enjoyable, and the book turned out better. Attitude shift changed the experience and the outcome.
Didn't Maxwell have a personal story about this too, being named Citizen of the Month?
Yeah, he says it was largely because of his positive attitude. And that recognition made him consciously decide, okay, I'm gonna keep cultivating this, use it to influence others positively. It shows attitude has a real tangible effect.
So if it's a choice, how do we choose better? How do we make today a masterpiece in terms of attitude? What are the steps?
Okay, so first, he says, take full responsibility for your own attitude. No blaming others or circumstances. He tells that funny story about his wife, Margaret, at a conference.
Oh, yeah.
Someone asked her something potentially awkward, and she just cheerfully said something like, well, I decided to be happy, taking ownership.
Love it. What else?
Second, recognize it needs daily work. Attitude isn't a set it and forget thing. You have to adjust it, manage it every day. He uses himself as an example, his lifelong struggle with impatience.
Relatable.
Very. It means being self-aware, making amends when you slip up, constantly choosing the better attitude.
And he uses Lance Armstrong as a really powerful example of attitude overcoming huge adversity.
Armstrong's cancer battle, especially coming after he reached the top of cycling, is just incredible. Maxwell highlights his mom's advice: see obstacles as opportunities, and Armstrong's own belief that hope is the only antidote to fear.
He even said the treatment time was positive.
Yeah, surprisingly, he described it as a positive period. And even when he had a big setback later in his comeback, that core positive mindset drove him to achieve those amazing Tour de France wins.
Wow. It really shows the power of choosing that positive outlook, not just for success, but for getting through the really tough stuff. Okay, shifting gears, priorities. Maxwell says today's priorities give us focus. How does that work when life feels so demanding?
Priorities are basically like a filter, right? Helping you make smart choices when everything seems urgent. Maxwell uses that Robert McCain quote: "The reason that most goals are not achieved is that we spend our time doing second things first."
Ouch. That hits home.
Yeah. He stresses you need to run on your track. Focus on what's truly important for you, aligned with your strengths and goals, not just get sucked into the fast track of what everyone else thinks is important.
Did he do this himself in his own work?
He did. He talks about his ministry work. He realized he was spending time on things like counseling and admin tasks that, frankly, weren't his strongest areas.
So he stopped.
He consciously stepped back from those to focus more on his strength zone, teaching, leading, communicating, where he could have the biggest impact.
Makes sense. How do we figure out our own strength zones?
He suggests a few things: trial and error, try stuff, see what clicks, get honest feedback from people you trust, maybe use personality tests or assessments, and really look back and evaluate your own experiences, what worked, what didn't, where did you feel energized.
To evaluate experience, that sounds key. Not just having experience, but learning from it.
Exactly.
So once you know your strengths, how do you decide what gets priority today?
Maxwell shares his own criteria. He asks, what's the value to the team? Is this something I'm naturally good at? Is it my responsibility? Is the timing right? What's the potential for growth here? Is it a good mentoring opportunity? He mentions mentoring Kevin Small as an example of investing time strategically in high potential talent.
It's about being really intentional with that limited resource, our time and energy, focusing it for maximum impact. Okay, next up, health. Today's health gives strength. This feels obvious, but maybe easily overlooked.
It is easily overlooked. And Maxwell starts by being really honest, saying prioritizing his own health wasn't always his strong point.
Refreshing honesty.
Yeah. Even though he was generally healthy, didn't get sick much, he admits he neglected it. But his main point is crucial. Physical health is directly tied to everything else: emotional, mental, even spiritual well-being.
You can't separate
You
them.
can't escape your body. If you neglect it, it affects everything. He uses the simple example of a toothache, how easily that physical pain can derail your focus on anything else.
So true. He also mentions that cancer patient choosing to live fully.
Right, that powerful desire for life itself should motivate us to take care of ourselves. And he connects health to work enjoyment too.
How so?
He quotes Lily Tomlin about the stress of the rat race. His point is, doing work you hate, work that doesn't align with your values, creates chronic stress. And we know what stress does to health.
It wears you down.
Exactly. Enjoying your work, feeling it aligns with who you are, that's actually good for your health, your morale.
Yeah.
avoids burnout.
He then charts his own health journey through the decades, right? Showing it's never too late.
Yeah, he shows how his focus shifted over time, culminating in a real commitment to daily healthy habits in his 50s. It's a great reminder, don't get discouraged if you haven't prioritized it before.
You can always start today.
You can always start today, make the decision, then add the daily disciplines.
Okay, next critical today, family. Today's family gives support, though he acknowledges it's not always straightforward, right?
Yeah.
He mentions Mark Twain.
Yeah, he's realistic. Not everyone has that picture-perfect family. He even tells that funny story about the new bride whose cooking never quite meets her husband's standards.
Little everyday frictions.
Exactly. Stuff happens. But even with challenges, Maxwell stresses the need to intentionally decide on your family philosophy based on your core values.
What was his philosophy with Margaret?
Theirs centered on commitment to God, continual growth together, creating common experiences, building confidence in each other, and contributing positively as a family. He advises keeping yours simple, focused on your non-negotiables.
And having a plan for when things go wrong. Because they will.
Absolutely. Anticipate problems, stay committed to the family unit, and figure out together how you'll handle tough times. He also makes that great point about guilt.
Right, not feeling guilty at work when you're working, and not feeling guilty with family when you're with family.
As long as you've protected that family time, be fully present wherever you are.
He also talks about family traditions, asking us to remember childhood gifts. Why that exercise?
It's to show that often, it's not the things we remember most vividly, but the experiences, the traditions, the feelings associated with them. Those stick with us.
The connection.
Connection. So he suggests practical ways to build that, even with busy lives. Show up for big events, pay attention to needs, make time for fun, get that crucial one-on-one time.
He uses Karen Hughes leaving the White House as a powerful example of prioritizing family.
Yeah, a huge career move, but made to honor that family commitment. It shows the kind of choices sometimes required.
And he gives actionable steps for us, the learner.
Yep. Review your schedule regularly, mark family events first, find creative ways to connect, plan specific time with your spouse, and express appreciation daily. Tangible things you can do starting today.
Okay, moving to our minds. Today's thinking gives an advantage. He really pushes continuous learning, reading.
He uses that great A&P supermarket example from history. The Hartford brothers, back in the day, they were adaptive thinkers. They saw the future with supermarkets, embraced it, and boom, huge success.
But then later, under Mr. Berger, not so much.
Right. According to Jim Collins' research, Berger got stuck. He kept trying to do things the way Mr. Hartford used to do them, resisted change, didn't adapt his thinking to the new reality.
And the company suffered.
It shows the danger of rigid thinking. You have to keep evolving.
Maxwell then says thinking isn't just one thing, it's like a collection of skills, a mental decathlon.
Yeah, he breaks it down in his other book, Thinking for a Change. 11 different thinking skills. Big picture, focused, creative, realistic, strategic, reflective, all sorts of things. We need to develop all of them.
And practically, he talks about finding the right time and place for thinking, setting aside time.
Definitely. For him, morning is often for focused thinking, evening for reflection. But the key is finding your best time and place, and then protecting that time daily.
Yeah.
And crucially, capture your ideas.
You don't let them slip away.
Exactly. Legal pad, notebook, bedside recorder, whatever works. He quotes Dave Goat saying, ideas have a short half-life. You got to grab them and act on them fast.
He gives us a checklist for those 11 skills and steps to improve.
Yeah, find your spot, find your time. Experiment with what helps you think clearly, music, movement, whatever. Clear the clutter, get focused.
Okay, next crucial one, commitment. Today's commitment provides stamina. He uses Mickey Mantle, surprisingly, as a contrasting example here.
Yeah, when Mantle's father died, instead of committing to grieving healthily, he turned to alcohol. It highlights that commitment often means facing challenges head-on, not avoiding them.
And commitment isn't just a one-time thing, is it? Like saying, I do.
No. Maxwell stresses it's an ongoing process, and it will be tested.
How?
Through failure, through having to stand alone sometimes, through the grind of routine, through unexpected problems, through slow progress. All that stuff tests your resolve.
You have to keep recommitting.
Every day, basically.
Well,
He tells his own story about that $1 million church expansion. He felt totally inadequate.
but he committed.
He committed because he believed it was right, and he had to renew that commitment daily, focusing on the benefits, even carrying a reminder card for 18 months. Commitment is often a struggle. He admits even planning a vacation can test it.
Huh? True. But then he shares that incredible Liz Murray story.
Oh, amazing. Homeless, terrible circumstances, but absolutely committed to getting an education. It just shows the unbelievable power of commitment against all odds.
So how do we strengthen our own commitment?
Maxwell suggests, know your why deeply. Make excellence your standard. Have a strategy for staying committed when it gets hard. And take total responsibility.
Okay, nearly there. Finances. Today's finances give security. He acknowledges this is a big stressor for many people.
Yeah, he starts with the tough stats, bankruptcy, lack of savings. But then he tackles the myth. Money doesn't automatically buy happiness.
He uses that survey about what people would do for $10 million.
Right, showing how easily money can seem more important than ethics or relationships. And that anecdote about the couple on the plane prioritizing money over maybe helping a spouse, he quotes de Tocqueville, too, on America's historical love of money.
What's the key difference he sees between how the rich and poor handle money?
Generally, the wealthy tend to invest first, then spend what's left. Those struggling often spend first and invest. Well, whatever's left, if anything, huge difference in long-term outcome.
He admits he was slow to focus on this himself.
Yeah, and he mentions seeing that elderly waitress still working, likely needing the money. A real wake-up call about planning. He quotes Ron Blue on the low average income for seniors.
So what are the daily disciplines for financial security?
4 main things. Be a good earner. Spend less than you earn, crucial. Save consistently for the future, and give regularly. He sums it up with John Wesley. Earn all you can, save all you can, give all you can.
Moving to faith. Today's faith gives peace. He's open about his own strong faith here, but respectful of others.
Very much so. He shares being asked about his leadership principles and tracing them back to his faith. He believes faith holds the key to life's meaning for him personally.
And he outlines different ways people react to the topic of faith.
Yeah, 6 common reactions. Ignore it, misunderstand it, discount it, fight it, delay dealing with it, or accept it. He shares his own decision about faith and how it profoundly shaped his worldview, his ethics, like the Golden Rule, his sense of self-worth. He mentions Ken Blanchard's faith walk leadership, too.
He uses that everyday example from John Bisagno, trusting doctors, pharmacists.
Right. Bisagno's point is we all exercise faith daily in something. We trust people and systems we don't fully understand. So Maxwell says everyone has faith in something. The big choice is where you place it. He ends with the astronaut Rick Husband, deep faith alongside incredible achievement.
Relationships come next. Today's relationships give fulfillment. He contrasts this with Armand Hammer again.
Yeah, Hammer had the money, the success, but apparently failed miserably at relationships, ending up isolated. Maxwell says relationships are fundamental. You have to genuinely value people, enjoy them, be interested in them.
He quotes John Luther saying, you need to understand and please others for worldly success. It's practical, too.
Definitely. Raw talent isn't enough. And within organizations, it's critical. He references Jim Collins again, Right People on the Bus, and Fred Smith at FedEx, People Service Profits. Successful companies value their people.
So how do we value relationships daily? What are the actions?
Try to understand people's perspectives. Don't take their flaws personally. Help them succeed. Give respect freely. He tells that story about the airport porter handling a rude person with grace. Showing disrespect diminishes you.
And that letter he wrote to his friend Bill.
So powerful. Just showing personal interest, offering encouragement. That's what builds strong relationships. It's connection, support. He contrasts it again with J. Paul Getty's family alienation despite his wealth. Then that Woodrow Wilson quote, "You are here to enrich the world, connecting service to others as the true measure of a life."
And generosity benefits the giver, too.
Absolutely. Builds empathy, connection, which leads perfectly into
Generosity, our second to last today. Today's generosity gives significance. It's about shifting focus from self to others.
echoing Wilson again. Giving adds value. Forgetting that makes us poorer. He shares that early memory of his brother Larry being generous to him, showing the lasting impact.
And that quote, greatness is defined by what a person gives. Powerful shift from just taking or having. What are the daily ways to be generous?
Give money, yes, but also time, talent, attention, ideas, encouragement, lots of ways. He quotes Carnegie, "No man becomes rich unless he enriches others." And Dave Thomas from Wendy's.
The nice guy who wanted to give back.
Exactly. Believed in sharing success, making a difference. It all comes back to values.
Which is the final today, values. Today's values give direction. They're the foundation for everything else. He uses Martha Stewart as a cautionary tale.
Yeah, showing what can happen when values get compromised. He shares that principle. Methods are many, values are few. Methods always change, values never do. Core values should be constant. your compass.
He says his own values formed the outline for this book.
Yeah, a lifelong process of reflection. He quotes Fred Allen, "You only live once, but if you work it right, once is enough. Living by your values is working it right."
So how do we identify and live by our values?
Reflect, write them down, discuss them, prioritize them, get accountability, and make decisions based on them. He tells that story about choosing a prior commitment over a White House meeting, sticking to his values even when tempted.
And finally, fittingly, growth. Today's growth gives potential. It's not automatic, is it? That Kurt Kampmeyer quote.
Right. Growth is not an automatic process.
Yeah.
That hit Maxwell hard, made him create a personal growth plan.
You need an environment for growth, too. He mentions his wife, Margaret.
Huge factor. And he quotes Earl Nightingale on the power of just 1 hour of study a day, how it compounds massively over years.
What was Maxwell's own plan?
Listening to audio lessons daily, reading 2 books a month, meeting monthly with someone who could help him grow like John Wooden.
Wow. He quotes Mike Abrashoff, too.
Up is not an easy direction. It defies gravity. Growth takes effort. But he shows the incredible compound benefits over decades. He ends with exercises for us. Identify dreams and strengths. Create your growth plan.
So let's wrap this up for you, the learner. We've really dug deep into John Maxwell's Today Matters. And the core message, well, it seems really clear, doesn't it?
Yeah, lasting success, real fulfillment. It's not about some magic bullet or just getting lucky.
It's about the small things, done consistently.
Exactly. It's about consciously choosing every single day to focus on making progress in these 12 key areas.
Yeah.
Attitude, priorities, health, family.
Thinking, commitment, finances, faith, relationships, generosity, values, and growth. That's the list.
And these daily choices, these disciplines, they build on each other. They compound over time. That's where the significant impact comes from.
Each today isn't just, another day. It's a building block for the future you want.
Absolutely.
So we'd really encourage you, listening now, take a moment. Think about these 12 todays. Which one, or maybe two, really jumps out at you right now?
Where could you start making just a small, consistent change? It's not about doing everything perfectly tomorrow.
Just start somewhere. Make an intentional choice today.
Which leads us, the learner, to that final provocative thought, something to really chew on after this deep dive. Looking at your own life, these 12 areas, which today will you choose to make your masterpiece?